Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good luck sleeping. You're watching PNT. I'm your host, Shaken, Not Stirred. Up front this week, according to an article published by itsastrangeworld.com, a mysterious pyramid-shaped tomb has been found by archaeologists in the Zhengzhou region of Henan Province, China. After construction workers clearing ground for a new residential complex discovered the unusual tomb, they notified archaeologists who believe the pyramid may be part of a much larger burial complex dating from the Han Dynasty period. At just over 6 feet high, the Pyramid of Zhengzhou is certainly not in the same league as the Great Pyramids of Egypt, but is equally as mysterious as researchers are puzzled at the atypical style of the pyramid and the adjoining cylindrical tomb, which do not match other sites of the era. Our next item also comes from China, where according to an article by the Huffington Post, a 31-year-old artificial intelligence engineer in Hangzhou claims to have married a female companion that he made by hand. The engineer and fembot Ying were wed in a traditional Chinese ceremony, which a friend who attended the wedding described as possibly having been motivated by the artificial intelligence engineer's pestering parents. Ying can already read printed characters and speak in shortened sentences, and the engineer has plans to upgrade her to add movement and the ability to do housework. Regardless of this, my advice to him as a married man would be to still do the dishes without being asked. Last, we return to the United States, where in February, a large meteor burning up in the skies over Chicago, Illinois, before crashing into Lake Michigan was caught on dashcam at 1:27 a.m. by a local police officer. The blazing blue-green fireball was captured by the Lisle, Illinois officer while on routine patrol and was witnessed by hundreds of residents. Astronomers state that the meteor was likely the size of a minivan and are hoping to recover fragments from the space rock from under the waters of Lake Michigan. What I find most remarkable is the lack of comment from the officer during the video. I must applaud his calm because personally, I'd be shouting excited profanities like a 12-year-old boy. And now, PNT is pleased to bring you our featured report. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We've all seen the movie, gotten that damn song stuck in our heads, and a few of the more astute or nerdy among us might have even known that J. Allen Hynek, who helped Project Blue Book to investigate the Socorro, New Mexico UFO sighting already covered in a previous episode of PNT, has a cameo during the contact sequence at the end of the film. But there's more to the story here than just a cameo in one of the most memorable films of all time, and there is more than one type of close encounter. In early 1948, likely in response to the Roswell and Corona, New Mexico incidents, the United States Air Force established Project Sign. Active throughout most of that year, the project would employ one J. Allen Hynek, eminent astronomer and astrophysicist at Ohio State University. Brought on as a scientific consultant, Hynek was tasked with studying the incoming UFO reports and screening out those reports he thought could be dismissed as misidentifications of known astronomical objects. While Hynek was initially quoted as stating that the whole subject seemed utterly ridiculous and was likely just a fad that would soon pass, his skepticism gradually gave way over the course of his involvement with Project Sign, Project Grudge, and finally, Project Blue Book. What Hynek found upon joining the projects was a profound lack of order. He rapidly realized that the masses of UFO reports pouring in needed a system of classification. Here, a farmer had spotted a flying disc over his house in broad daylight. There, 3 witnesses had reported seeing strange lights in the night sky. The sheer variety and detail of the reports was staggering. Hynek was no stranger to dealing with masses of data and quickly set to work developing what would become the Close Encounter Classification System. The system would be used not only to sort and categorize the reports, but also to help screen out those reports that were likely misidentifications of stars and other explainable phenomenon. For example, Hynek argued that the sightings had to be within 500 feet of the observer in order to be considered for the actual close encounter scale. More on this later. We here at PNT laud Hynek's scientific approach, and as a result, we will be instituting the close encounter system when presenting our reports from various sources. Icons will indicate which level of the close encounter system we feel the report best represents, and it is our hope that viewers will benefit from this scale when and if you spot something strange for yourself. As such, we have put together the following video to help familiarize you with the system. Hynek introduced the first 3 levels of the close encounter scale. More subtypes of the scale were later added by other UFO researchers, but these were not accepted by all, primarily because they do not follow the same scientific method that Hynek strove to bring to ufology. To begin with, any sighting more than 500 feet or 150 meters from the witness were classified as either daylight discs, nocturnal lights, or radar visual reports. Incidents within 500 feet were subclassified as close encounters. Hynek felt strongly that a claimed close encounter must occur within about 500 feet in order to minimize or remove the possibility of misidentifying aircraft or other known phenomenon. Only cases meeting these criteria would receive the close encounter classification. Close encounter of the first kind. Visual sightings of an unidentified flying object seemingly less than 500 feet away that show an appreciable angular extension and considerable detail. Close encounter of the second kind. A UFO event in which a physical effect is alleged. This can be interference in the functioning of a vehicle or electronic device, animals reacting to the presence of the phenomenon, a physiological effect such as paralysis or heat or discomfort in the witness, or some other physical trace like impressions in the ground, scorched or otherwise affected vegetation, or a chemical trace. Close encounter of the third kind. UFO encounters in which an animated creature is present. These include humanoid figures, robots, and humans who seem to be the occupants or pilots of a UFO. UFO researcher Ted Blocher suggested the following subtypes of the close encounter of the third kind. Type A. An entity is observed only inside the UFO. Type B. An entity is observed inside and outside the UFO. Type C. An entity is observed near to a UFO, but not going in or out. Type D. An entity is observed, but no UFOs are seen by the observer. However, UFO activity has been reported in the area at about the same time. Type E. An entity is observed, but no UFOs are seen and no UFO activity has been reported in the area at that time. Type F. No entity or UFOs are observed, but the subject experiences some kind of intelligent communication. As noted before, Hynek believed the 3-part scale would be sufficient in and of itself to classify and explain the reports. Over the course of time, however, new types of reports began to emerge detailing a much more bizarre and possibly sinister and most assuredly intimate form of contact. Close encounters of the fourth kind. A UFO event in which a human is abducted by a UFO or its occupants. Hynek's friend and associate Jacques Vallée argued in the Journal of Scientific Exploration that a close encounter of the fourth kind should be described as cases where witnesses experienced a transformation of their sense of reality, so as to include those non-abduction cases where absurd, hallucinatory, or dream-like events are associated with UFO encounters. Hynek declined to comment, but did not oppose his friend's idea. Close encounters of the fifth kind. A UFO event that involves direct communication between aliens and humans. This type of classification was named by Stephen M. Greer's C-SETI group and is described as bilateral contact experiences through conscious, voluntary, and proactive human-initiated cooperative communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. In short, our government contacting their government. Close encounter of the sixth kind. The death of a human or animal associated with a UFO sighting, such as the animal mutilation phenomenon. Close encounter of the seventh kind. The creation of a human-alien hybrid, either by sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods. Now, at this point, we would like to remind our viewers that PNT does not endorse any one particular viewpoint, but instead seeks to present viewers with all viewpoints and let them decide for themselves. It has been our experience that the truth is generally found between the extremes. If you or someone you know has had a paranormal experience, we here at PNT would like to hear from you. We thank you for watching PNT, and we ask that you click like, share, and subscribe below. I'm your host, reminding you to keep an open mind, because a closed one shuts out the truth.